Do you appear calm and successful to others on the outside, while on the inside you feel overwhelmed, anxious, and constantly running on the hamster wheel of busyness and productivity? When you have high functioning anxiety, you are able to perform well and even be extremely successful when it comes to your career, family life, and or personal life. But the thing that nobody knows is that on the inside, your behaviors are driven by fear, self-doubt, and avoidance rather than feeling confident and grounded from within. This fear might drive you to push yourself too hard, always needing to be busy, having difficulty saying no and setting boundaries, which results in you taking on too much, always being overanalyzing things, and a quick road to burnout. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through my high functioning anxiety test to help you understand if you might be struggling with high functioning anxiety, and if so, what you can do about it. So be sure that you stick around to the end to get your personalized results. Welcome to Calmly Coping. My name is Tati, and I am a licensed therapist and a high-functioning anxiety coach, and I specialize in helping high achievers overcome high-functioning anxiety so they can finally stop overthinking everything. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get notified when I post new videos every Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, so welcome to the high functioning anxiety test, quiz, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, it is going to be a step-by-step questionnaire that will help you identify if you're potentially struggling with any of the signs and symptoms of high functioning anxiety. And then at the end, I'm going to share personalized recommendations for you and what next steps you should take based on your results from the quiz. So, for the best experience, I highly recommend that you download the PDF of this quiz. It is completely free. You can get it by going to hfaquiz.com, or if you're watching the video, you can click on the link in the description. So if you haven't downloaded that already, then go ahead and download that now and then come back once you've got it. And another option would be to just get a piece of paper, because that will be the best way to absorb this information so that you're able to go through step by step. Of course, you can always take in the information first and then go back later and do your own results. So, first, just a little bit of a disclaimer that this is a self-scored assessment to help you determine if you struggle with high-functioning anxiety and how it affects you personally. So high-functioning anxiety is not a mental disorder or diagnosis, and it refers to individuals who experience anxiety, but they're highly successful and often overachievers. Their anxiety propels them forward into action instead of holding them back. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this assessment is not a diagnostic tool and does not replace seeking the guidance and support from a licensed mental health professional. And also, this is not a clinical assessment, but it's solely to be used for educational and informative purposes. First, question number 1 is, do you struggle with difficulty saying no to others, or do you feel obligated to say yes to people's requests, even if you don't want to say yes? So answer yes or no if it's hard for you to say no to others and you feel obligated to say yes to people because you feel guilty or you don't want to disappoint them or whatever other reasons. Question 2, is it difficult for you to ask for help when you need it? Question 3, do you consider yourself a people pleaser? Do you have an emotional need to please others, often at the expense of your own needs or desires? And question 4 is, do you struggle with creating boundaries in your life, such as maintaining work-life balance or any other areas where you might have to create boundaries? 5, have you struggled with feeling overwhelmed within the past 2 weeks? 6, have you struggled with feeling burnt out at any point within the past 6 months? Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. So does this sound like something you've struggled with? Have you felt like you reached a point where you've been giving way too much to others and not filling up your cup in return? All right, so let's head to the next page. Number 7, do people consider you to be helpful and always willing to be there when they need you? Question 8, do you consider yourself to be an overachiever? Do you perform well, but you're always focused on achieving more and working harder? Number 9, do you consider yourself to have a type A personality? So some traits of a type A personality include being competitive, highly organized, ambitious, impatient, highly aware of time management. Does this sound like you? 10, do you struggle with overworking and feel like you always need to be busy? 11, do you consider yourself to be a perfectionist? Do you have impossibly high standards and fear failure and making mistakes? Okay, now number 12. Do you feel as though you always need to be productive and feel guilty if you don't think you're being productive? 13, are you hard and critical on yourself when you don't meet the expectations that you or others have set for yourself? So do you tend to be really harsh on yourself? And number 14, do you have difficulty relaxing? All right, and take your time with answering these questions. There's no right or wrong, but it's just, what do you resonate with? Number 15, do you appear successful and hardworking to others like your friends, family, or colleagues? 16, would people who know you, friends, family, or colleagues, describe you as being confident? 17, do you often compare yourself to others? Number 18, do you have difficulty making decisions and overanalyze or overthink decisions, otherwise known as paralysis by analysis? So can you spend forever trying to figure out the right or the best way to do things? Number 19, do you struggle with procrastination, which is the action of delaying or postponing something? Do you tend to always put things off, or is it something you struggle with often? 20, do you feel anxious without structure or a routine? 21, do you have difficulty staying present and you're often thinking about the past or thinking about the future? Number 22, are you detail-oriented and organized? All right, we're almost there. I know there's a lot of questions. Number 23, do you pride yourself on always being prepared and often over-prepare for things in the future? 24, would other people like your friends, family, or colleagues consider you to be efficient and organized? 25, do you often overthink and ruminate about things? So ruminate is when you are going over something over and over again in your mind. 26, do you fear being judged by others? And do you often assume that others are judging you negatively? 27, do you struggle with physical symptoms of anxiety, such as shortness of breath, sweating, increased heart rate, or muscle tension, or any other physical symptoms that go along with anxiety? It could be numbness, could be panic attacks, could be difficulty with digestion, any of those. 28, do you use drugs or alcohol as a way of coping with difficult thoughts or emotions? Number 29, do you struggle with self-doubt and speak to yourself in a critical way, such as saying things like, I'm not good enough? Number 30, do you often worry and think of the worst case scenario? Like you tend to catastrophize and it's always like, what if this happens or what if that happens? 31, do you engage in nervous habits such as picking your skin, shaking your leg, biting your nails, playing with your hair, biting your lip, any of those kind of nervous habits that maybe you engage in regularly? Do you struggle with difficulty focusing or concentrating? That's 32. 33, do you have difficulty sleeping at night, otherwise known as insomnia? Or do you wake up in the middle of the night feeling really anxious, or do you have difficulty falling asleep at night? Number 34, do you function well under pressure, where it's like the last minute, that's when you do the best? Number 35, do you appear calm and in control on the outside to people around you? 36, do you often seek reassurance from others, such as asking for directions multiple times or checking on others frequently? All All right, so those are the basic questions. And if you resonated with a lot of these, maybe you're shaking your head yes, then that can mean that you're struggling with high functioning anxiety. And so I'm going to keep on going to explain the scoring process to you. And this is when it's really important to have the PDF because each question has a letter next to it. So it has either an A, a T, a P, or a B. So this stands for 4 different categories that I have identified that occur within high functioning anxiety. So first, you're going to score your results, and then I'm going to explain the categories in further detail. So I want you to count your total number of yes answers. So if you have to pause the video or if you have to go through and rewatch it and answer them now, so go through and add up your total number of yes answers. So questions number 1 to 7 are in the B category. So I want you to add up the yes answers for the B category for questions number 1 to 7. Questions number 8 to 17 are in the P category. So I want you to add up your yes answers in the P category. So again, this is for questions number 8 through 17. Questions number 18 through 24 are in the T category. So I want you to add up your yes answers for the questions in the T category. Again, that is questions number 18 through 24. And questions number 25 through 36 are in the A category. So I want you to add up your yes answers in the A category. That's questions number 25 through 36. So first we're going to look at the total number of yes answers. So what you put for the entire questionnaire, how many total yeses you have. If your number of yes answers is 1 through 12, then you scored low when it comes to high functioning anxiety. So you might struggle with some anxiety or similar behaviors, but your overall level of high functioning anxiety is low. You are doing well at caring for your needs and practicing positive coping skills. So I'm going to give you some recommended resources based on your scores and based on the specific categories after I go through the rest. If you scored with 13 to 24 total yes answers, then you are at a moderate level of high functioning anxiety. So you probably struggle with difficulty practicing self-care, setting boundaries, and coping with anxiety. Your moderate score means that you have positive coping skills in certain areas, which is great. So I'm going to, again, talk about recommended resources for you in a little bit. And so keep on watching to get to that. And if you scored with 25 to 36 total yes answers, then you have a significant level of high functioning anxiety. It appears that you've been neglecting your needs because of your fear and anxiety, and it has had a significant impact on your well-being. But don't worry, you've got this. It is totally possible to make positive changes and start giving yourself the care you need. So I'm going to share some recommended resources for you and for each of the categories so that you can get a better idea of your personal results. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the 3 different overarching methods that you can try when it comes to treating high functioning anxiety. So there is self-help, coaching, and therapy. Self-help is a great option if you scored in the low or moderate categories, or as a supplement to coaching or therapy if you scored in the significant category. Self-help consists of online courses, workbooks, books, or any other form of self-guided educational content. I have a free course, How to Calm Your Mind So You Can Finally Relax, so you can get started in treating your high functioning anxiety and learning more of the skills that you need to manage it. Now, coaching is a great option if you scored in any of the 3 categories. Coaching is a form of development in which an experienced person supports a client in achieving a specific personal or professional goal by providing training, guidance, and accountability. So coaching does not necessarily delve into your past trauma, but it equips you with skills and tools that you need to get past blocks and achieve optimal performance. That's the important thing with coaching, is that is to help you to achieve optimal performance and maximize your results. And if you want to learn more about high functioning anxiety coaching, then you can click on the link in the show notes. You can also go to calmlycoping.com/coaching to learn more about working with me in coaching. And lastly, therapy is a great option if you're struggling with significant anxiety. And it can actually be a great resource at any level, but especially the moderate and significant categories. Therapy might be right for you if you're having difficulty coping with your day-to-day life as a result of your emotions, thoughts, behaviors, or other psychological symptoms. And therapy is an excellent resource to help you cope with the difficulties in life. I have a blog post and assessment to help you determine if you might need therapy. If you download the PDF, then you can get the link to that. So now let's talk about the specific categories. So what you're going to do in this section is refer to your scores for each of those different letters that I gave. So I had given you the letters of B, P, T, and A. And once you get your scores for that, then we're going to talk about the categories. So the first category of importance is boundaries. So if you scored high in this category, then you struggle with maintaining balance and boundaries. And this is the B category. You appear helpful and loyal to others, but on the inside, it's difficult for you to say no, to ask for help, and you may struggle with overwhelm as a result. So this is you if you're constantly saying yes to others and you feel guilty saying no, and you have no boundaries or guidelines between your work life, your personal life, and it's hard for you to ask for help and you're feeling really overwhelmed and burnt out. The next category is performance. So if you scored high in this category, then you're probably an overachiever with very high standards. You appear ambitious and hardworking, but you often take on too much work and you have difficulty relaxing. So this is you if you're really that person who is always saying yes to new opportunities and you're always achieving and aiming for the best. And it has to be perfect or it's terrible. And as I go through these categories, it's not like you're one category and not another. You might identify with one or more of these categories, and that's okay. Next is time management. So if you scored high in this category, then you probably appear detail-oriented and organized to others, but you might internally struggle with decision-making, procrastination, and thrive with a routine. The thing is that time management is a big topic and it goes along with energy management because when you struggle with high functioning anxiety, it can be hard to manage your time and energy properly because you're probably giving more to others and not taking care of yourself and your mental health. And the last section, of course, is anxiety. So if you scored high in this category, then under the surface, you struggle with anxiety, overthinking, self-doubt, worrying, things like nervous habits, and you might actually appear calm and control to others because you try to hide these on the outside. And so if you scored high in this category, then anxiety is something that is difficult and is really holding you back, but at the same time is propelling you forward into constantly being busy as a way of avoiding your anxious thoughts and difficult emotions that are actually under the surface. So now for the personalized recommendations. So I have resources for each category. If you download the PDF, then you will get a link to each of these. And some of these go to my previous podcast episodes or blog posts, and some of them also go to free PDF guides that will walk you through step by step what to do to help you to improve your mental wellness when it comes to these specific categories. So when it comes to boundaries, I think it's important to recognize how having high functioning anxiety can actually lead to and worsen burnout. And this is a popular episode that I have that I think will be really helpful for you to watch. I'm going to link it in the top if you're watching this on YouTube. And I have a guide, Goodbye Overwhelm, your guide to accomplish more by doing less, and how to be more productive without burning out. These are all great places to start when it comes to setting boundaries. If performance is an aspect that is important for you to work on and that you scored highly in, then I have an episode all about how to really disconnect from work, 5 mistakes that prevent you from relaxing, and how to get to the root cause of your perfectionism. These are all great places for you to start. Time management. So I have episodes on how to stop procrastinating, the best ways to get organized when you have high functioning anxiety, which I will link here, and how to save hours every week by time blocking. This is a great method that I use that is really transformative and has changed my relationship with time and with my routine so that I'm better able to get things done without procrastinating and without feeling too overwhelmed. And then anxiety, which is often the root of it all for many, and that root of fear. I have some episodes on self-care you need when you have anxiety, and I also have a PDF on 8 daily habits to decrease anxiety. This is a great place to start. And getting to the root of your anxiety, I have some journal prompts. So do not feel overwhelmed by all of these resources. I would suggest to start focusing on one category at a time based on the one that is most relevant for you. You can even break this up and focus on one category for 1 week or for 2 weeks, and then move on to the next. So really take things one step at a time so that you're not overwhelming yourself with too many changes or too much to do at once, because that's just going to increase your anxiety and make you feel worse. So I hope that this quiz helped you to identify if you are struggling with high functioning anxiety and some actionable steps that you can take to start to experience some relief. If you're interested in more support for high functioning anxiety, then feel free to join my free Facebook community for high achievers with high functioning anxiety called Calmly Coping. You can join that group by going to calmlycoping.com/group. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you found this helpful, then please leave me a comment below letting me know your thoughts. Until next time, be calm.